So, dementia and me, July 2026. It's not about what it is necessarily, it's about what it can become. Yes, it's dementia, but let's see if we can see how each piece fits into my life, or anyone's who's journeying with dementia, I suppose, who has got a diagnosis or has just recently got a diagnosis. We're here with you. That's all I can say, and don't worry, just listen up to what we got to say. So here on YouTube, unless you're a student of any kind, young or not young, like me, a researcher, or possibly a potential carer, who's looking for just some info or help, guidance, if you like, for a parent or older person known to you, you may be exempted from the following insult, which is most of you watching are likely to be old. There, now we've got the insult out the way. Let's crack on. What is it, dementia? It's actually not a disease in itself. Dementia is the symptoms that are caused in you by your disease, or by a disease. One's called Alzheimer's, which is the most popular one. 60 to 70% of all people with dementia symptoms have a form of Alzheimer's. I believe vascular dementia comes next on the list with about 15 to 20%. Don't add all the percentages, mind, because you'll come to well over 100. There's Lewy bodies, which is about 10% of all the people with the dementia symptoms have been diagnosed with Lewy bodies or a form of it. Then there is the one I have now. It's frontotemporal primary progressive aphasia dementia, and that one is, although it's one of the, they say, rarer forms, it's one of the least diagnosed forms, is actually the most diagnosed in younger people. So it's, if you've got frontotemporal dementia, then you're likely to be 65 years or younger. And frontotemporal takes up about between 2 and 5% of all the people diagnosed who carry a diagnosing of dementia, including all the specific types, the behavioral types, the logopenic types, which is like speech-based, which is what I've got, and all the variants of Alzheimer's, Lewy bodies, vascular, and all such as. There's nearly, at the moment, 200 known types or variants of dementia symptoms, and the diseases associated with the symptoms. What? Nearly 200 different ones. There you go. That's a quiz night question, isn't it? You can now faithfully answer. Basically, there's not just like 6 or 7. It's literally well over 100 and almost into the 200s been designated as proper known actual diseases. Because you have one dementia, it does not, dementia disease, it does not immune you from getting another one as well. Lucky us, like, you know. So I had frontotemporal PPA, so in theory I could still get vascular dementia, Lewy bodies dementia, a version of Alzheimer's disease, any of those things I could get, as well as on top of my frontotemporal. So just imagine the GPs and stuff, people that are confronted with somebody living on their own, hasn't bothered to just got no mirror in their life to prompt them to go to the GP and they've suddenly turned up with 2 types of dementia, both at the same time. Like, you know, how difficult is that? It is a, you know, difficult thing for them to diagnose, like, you know, in the first place. I think we have to acknowledge that as a fact of life at the moment as we stand in 2027, sorry, 2026, yeah, 2026. That is a fact of life at the moment. Hopefully it's going to improve, get better, and there's more funds going to be chucked into it, like, you know, but we'd have to fingers crossed and wait and see. We're doing our bit anyway. And most of you know how shitty a disease it is, what it does to families and the people that, not just the people that journey with it, because in actual fact, if you look at it clinically, their worries just fade away and get less and less. But and it's a balancing act of their worries get less, so the family's worries just spiral up, like, you know, more and more and more and more care is needed, more help is needed, more frustration is there, more anger, whereas us with the disease, our faults are getting took away, so our ignorance to what's going on with us gets bigger, like, you know, we don't know what's happening to us, like, you know, so there comes a point where you don't feel sorry for us now, but you do have a lot of empathy, massive empathy for the people that care for us. You know, that's the people in hospitals, our loved ones, husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, or whoever is the children, even, you know, grandchildren sometimes. And one of my grandchildren helps me a very lot, like, you know. So it's all the family, and so when they say dementia doesn't just go to one person, it goes into the whole family. That's so true as I can't tell you. And of course, the other fact that everyone got to remember is that if you do survive all the wars and car crashes and all sorts of other ailments and illnesses between whatever age you are now and when you reach the age of 90, look around at all your friends who are also 90, and a third of you, at the moment as it stands, a third of you will get or will be diagnosed with some form of dementia. A third of you, 1 in every 3, will develop dementia when you're 90. What? So now we have to ask the question, what does it do to us? Well, the simple answer is it causes cognitive decline, where we get more stupid in certain things in our life. We're not stupid intellectually, I'd like to think, but part of our functioning, our brain functioning, does get more stupid. There's no other word for it, really, and that's what basically the function of dementia is. That's what it does to us. That's its sole purpose, is to reduce our capacity and make sure that our cognitive abilities are faltered or hit in some way. For me particularly, as some of you might already know, is cocking up my dictionary, my words, my speeching, and my diary, my calendar, all gone, like, you know. Yes, I'm still speaking at the moment, but at one point my prognosis is I won't be able to speak, so I'll become totally mute, like, you know. Yes, I can probably still type, hopefully, and I might learn Macaton to give me a couple more years if I'm coherent enough to learn Macaton, sign language, or sorry, I forgot totally where I was then. So mine particularly is what they call logonepic. I'll put it on the screen for you, look, which basically means that it shreds all my words, like, you know, they just as I'm thinking and speaking them, before it gets to my mouth, they all get poured into a one of those ninja smoothie makers, and a load of verbal garbage comes out, like, you know, and that's what mine does for me at the moment. That's the evidence, what's shown. That's how I present my dementia, apart from other things like sequencing and short-term memory, of course, and other things like that, but that's the main thing. that's the thing that bothers me the most. It's not forgetting the stuff, it's the conversations which I having with people, and sometimes they what you know, anyway, and it sucks. When I read words, however, because I'm just scanning down occasionally looking at my notes, when I read words, like in church when I do the Bible reading, sometimes they still ask me, God knows why, but well, yeah, God does know why. When I read the words that are printed, they seem to bypass the dementia shredder, like, and the words come out okay. People understand what I'm saying perfectly, like, and sometimes they come up to me and say, "You sure you got something wrong with it?" You know, and then of course I speak to them normally and they can see. But whilst I'm reading the words, it's quite odd. It's just quite clear, and that's why I carry on doing it if they ask me, because I quite enjoy talking, you know, in a normal voice. Like, you know, I know someone else's words, well, it's his words, like, but you know, it does make me feel like as though I am still okay sometimes. Like, being different sometimes isn't always a bad thing. It means if you're brave enough, you can stand up and be yourself, and you can say everybody else, like, you know, and just get on with your own life the way you want to do it, like, you know. And we can put one finger up to dementia, like, you know, and just that's not ignoring it. No, we know what it is, and we know how devastating it is, and it's likely to be for me and my family. But for the time being, whilst I'm angry and shouting at it, you know, I will shout and be angry about it, like, you know, because that's the only way that humanity is going to sit up and listen and open their ears and their hearts and do something about it, which I suppose basically partly is why you're here. So I could just wait around rolled up in a ball and wait till my birth certificate runs out or expires. That's not for me. I want to go into heaven or wherever it is I'm going to go, completely exhausted, using every last atom of energy that I got, skidding in, you know, and have a completely depleted body. Like, you know, I don't want any life left in me when I go there. Like, well, there won't be, but do you know what I mean? I don't want to go there a fit, healthy, six-pack sort of guy, you know, with full intelligence and all that shit, like. So, but that's my story, and my story is not your story. I could spend all day staring into a gold rim mirror and say things like, why me? But again, that's not me, really, you know. I accept what's in me. I fully accept what's going to happen, like, you know, and I just hope and pray that it's a long distance. It's not today. It's always going to be tomorrow, like, you know. And there's a saying which says, don't let the things you can't do stop you from doing the things that you can do. So again, I look at my life as start where you are, use what you've got, and just do your best with it, like, you know. And that's how I've looked at most of my life, I guess, in times of strife and trouble and injury and hospital visits and emotional and relationship breakups and all that stuff, like, you know. I've always looked at it, well, here I am, like, this is what I got, let's get on with it, like, you know. And I think that's what's helping me with my diagnosing, like, you know, that same principle or mantra in life is certainly helping me anyway. And I got a feeling it could be the family is looking at me as well, and they're thinking, well, we don't need to help him just at the moment, like, he seems to be doing okay on his own at the moment, so it's helping them in a roundabout way as well, collaterally. There is another option, of course, which is to go back into the Great Depression, you know, that I was for that period, not knowing. But then I guess most of my life looking back is had an element of depression about it because of all the flipping abuse and trauma from when I was young, like, you know. But again, that's my journey, like, you know, and I try to deal with it in a certain way, and I believe is again that is added to helping me get through these last few years or whatever, you know, helping other people, like, you know, but ignoring my own safety and health, like, you know, which is what I've done most of my days, you know, jumping off of the pier with no clothes on and all, just general kid stuff really. But I was a kid up till I was about 48, like. Never mind. So when I did stare into that mirror after Ariana said them words, you know, will I ever get dementia pops, then I saw a man staring back at me, who'd never been nice to himself most of his life, like, and I suddenly thought, I wonder what it'd be like to be nice to yourself, like, you know, not in that way. not in that way, if you were thinking that way, I don't know. Right, anyway, right, let's move on. But I got a feeling the question it was asking, well, what should we do now? What's next? Like, you know, how can we use this diagnosis of the dementia to help little Ariana and all her peers, like, you know, the children and grandchildren that are walking about on the planet at the moment, likely to be touched by dementia. How can we, as somebody with dementia, help them not get it, or at least if they get it, maybe there'll be by then something that can take it away from them. That's my goal. That's why I do what I do. I guess I stripped off all my old life clothing and dived into the pool of volunteering and research and studies and things like that, where I felt I could help in some way, like, you know, be part of the data pool that they're going to be using in the future to make sense of what what dementia is, you know, and how it works. And you need to discover how your enemy works and plays before you can beat them, like, you know. And I feel at the moment I'm just sort of one of those, part of that at the moment, the data collection. So that was my start where you are and use what I got. Now we're into do your best. So what do I do? But I mean, I'm done with hiding behind facades, I don't know, what's it called, personas, you know the thing I mean, like, you know, pretending to be something which I'm not, like, you know. Anybody can see my medical records now. I don't care who sees what, like, you know, they can phone me, call me, email me, message me, do whatever they want. They call me all sorts of stuff. It doesn't affect me anymore, because I know I'm just here as a human body with a disease that's presenting it to be analysed and subjected to all sorts of not torture, but interrogation. Say, yeah, that was the wrong word, torture, wasn't it? Although some people might think it's like a form of torture, like, you know. But I'm okay with that, you know, even if it is whatever that is, like, you know. I've donated my brain, but they can't have it yet. I guess peer support is what I do most of. You know, I talk to other people that have just been diagnosed and try and explain to them my mantra, my way, you know, so that they don't waste too much of their remaining years just being sorry for themselves, you know, being plums, like, you know, poor little old me. Because that doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help them, certainly. And I know because I've been there myself for a brief period, but if you can not just pull yourself out of it, that's the wrong phrase, but if you can review yourself and look to improve yourself or change yourself in some way and turn a bad thing into a blessing, a good thing, a positive, then but it does take a lot of emotional strength, I can tell you, you know. Yeah. So if you've got something new, a brand new thing, and you don't know how to work it, use it, or do whatever Rob says, but there's somebody to be next door that you know has got one of those things, you're going to go and knock on the door or have a chat over the fence about it. Oh, how'd you get on with that? How'd you do that? Yeah. So that's what peer support is, basically. It's getting knowledge from somebody that's already got something that is new to you. And all these people that come into the memory cafes and memory clinics and things like that, where I do a lot of my work, they're new to it. It's all new to them. And the first thing you want to do is to find out what's likely to happen, like, you know. So I sit down with them over a coffee and I say, well, look at me, I've had it 10 years, like, you know, yes, there's changes, I'm not the human I used to be, and it's not the ending I would have chosen for myself. However, it is what it is. I can't get rid of it, you know. Move with it, like, you know, but also live with it, you know. My family got to live with it, I journey with it, and my family live with it, and that's how I try to look towards the conservation that I have with people that have been newly diagnosed. Huge shock, massive shock to them. Some of them can't cope with it, like, you know. Some are in denial, say, well, I feel all right, so therefore there's nothing wrong with me, like, you know, they got it wrong, like, or whatever. But, you know, and I wish that was the case, you know, they didn't have it, like, you know. I don't mind having it now, because I'm in a place where I don't choose a different life for myself, like, you know. That's the point in my life that I've reached. I don't wish it was different, like, you know. So I believe I'm doing my best. I don't know for sure exactly why I'm here, sitting in my garden talking to you, you know, about horrendous disease that one day will kill me. But I'm still okay with all that. It doesn't, like, phase me that greatly, you know. It's more important for me, not about worrying about me. I do get, well, yeah. It's more important for me to think about this happening to the grandchildren. Sorry. So I constantly do these little podcasts and YouTube videos and things like that in the hope that somebody out there is gaining something from it, even if it's just a nudge to go and help with research, like, you know. And you can help with research if you don't have dementia, because they still want people to measure against, like, you know. They still want carers, groups of carers, to go in and say what they are traumatized by, what things has affected their lives, so they can change and alter and do others. I'd worked with universities up and down the country. Well, I joined, it's called Join Dementia Research.uk, I think, something like that. If you just put Join Dementia Research, it'll pop up on the Google page anyway. So I joined that, and you put in all your information once. So you put in your diagnosing, you put in how it affects you, you put in what you're happy to do, how far you want to travel, if you want to travel at all, if you're happy with people just phoning you, messaging you, texting you, emailing you, or whatever. You put all that in, and they filter all that through the people that are doing PhDs and things like that need somebody like us to help them with their thesis study thing. So I suppose it's what else do we do? Oh yeah, so all the universities, Leeds, Beckett, Bath, Bristol, UE, Edinburgh we've been to. We've done a lot with Alzheimer Society on their media team. Seem to want to chat to me every now and again, and I send them little snippets of videos of whatever the topic is that they want. They put it on their Facebook pages and Instagrams or whatever they want to use it. I'm okay with any of that at all. So if anyone out there is watching this, it wants me to do a little video snippet or something of from the inside, as it were, the other side of the fence, how something affects me, I'm happy to do that and send it to you. I work with the NHS, the NIHR body, which is the research part of the NHS. I've done some work with those, and HRA. I do struggle with the word no when I get asked all these things, you know. John, can you do this for me? John, can you do that? Yeah, well, you know, but it's keeping my brain cells that are working oiled, and it's keeping them working, and it's keeping them still functioning. So, which is a good thing, like, you know, really. So I do get benefits from doing all that. I'm not saying totally overload me, like, you know, and my wife, bless her, has to do all the logistics of everything, you know, where I got to be on a certain day and which school I'm going to, and if I got to get on a train or be driven or whatever, like, you know, or go on Zoom, Teams. I still need help setting things up, but once I'm there, I'm okay with it, like, you know. So I thanks. I'm working on another new project with the Alive group. Alive is another good group of people that do lots of things, you know, up and down for dementia, and also the BBC, not BBC, the CBBC have asked me to help with something. I can't say what that is just for the minute, but then I'll let you know with the video. So this is, I think they're coming next week to start the filming and that. But anyway, and of course I get quite a lot of pride, like, you know, when I go in the office and I see the folders filled up with thank you notes from all the little children that I've visited in primary schools, thanking me for explaining to them what dementia is or what it isn't. Like, quite often to the youngsters, you know, they have this picture in their mind as a doddery old people. Then I walk in, I can play my ukulele and read a few poems out, like, okay, so they can't understand me 100%, but you know, they appreciate it, and it takes the fear out of them. So the word dementia suddenly is just a normal word for them, and that's where we need to be with all our children in all schools. Just make the word dementia a normal thing. I'm not saying they're going to come up next week with a cure if you tell all of them, but at least it'd be a normal thing for them to discuss and talk. There's no shame or stigma at all gone, like, from children. Like, you know, we can't change adults at the moment, you know, although we try, but it's much easier to not have them have stigma in the first place, that you've got to take it away from them. People say to me, well, why did you do that? And I say, well, this is just what popses do. That's what they do for their grandkids, like, you know, and kids. So, question for you now, watching, listening, whatever. So, why are you here? Ask yourself that question. Why are you here? Are you going to start from wherever you are? Are you going to use whatever you got? And are you going to do your best for yourself and for other people? I think I said that just now, but I'll leave it in there anyway, because it's a good thing to remember, isn't it? Let me know in the comments, or just message me any way you like, you know, if you want me to come and help, and I'll try and point you in the direction of where you might need to go. And more importantly, others in the future, you know, it's going to be helping my granddaughter Ariana live in a world without dementia. And I have to say, somewhere in all of us there is the power to change the world that we live in, because that's what we do, and all you have to do is just find your way of helping the world. So where do we start? Dementia in me, July 2026. John has left the building. Always wanted to say that. Oh, is he still on?